People will be
Oh,
afraid.
you would? Okay.
Oh, well, I'd be afraid.
Ex-fundamentalist hero. All right.
This is true.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, Amber, can you hand that? Oh, Toby, you got one. Okay,
Go to your
perfect.
brother.
All right. Hello, everyone who's streaming. I expect a few of us to stream. I have been eating virtually no simple carbs, no gluten, eating like salad for lunch, eggs.
And gained 4 pounds. Oh, no, that's me.
No, that's
No, I'm just
kind of my
teasing.
experience too sometimes.
That's awesome.
I'm just teasing. No,
So
no,
my energy level is different.
You'll struggle for days.
It's not worse. It's just
Different.
different. My body is entering a period of ketosis, which is interesting because that shares a Latin root with kenosis, which means emptying.
Which is like the planet in Star Wars, Geonosis.
Well, we've had our serving of nonsense today. Good evening from Scott and Laura. Hello, Scott and Laura. I'm so glad that you are here digitally. All right, we are in Proverbs 6. Oh, I got to turn my Bluetooth off. It's acting funny. Testing. All right, good. Boy. We are in Proverbs 6, which, who wants to close that? Coyton?
No, I just think there's so much dust.
Oh, with the light, you see all the dust. Yes,
Dust motes.
yes.
It's
Better than dust mites.
Well, there's probably mites too.
Yeah.
beat up the dust.
Mites and motes, it's all
Mostly.
moot.
Skin cells.
One of my not favorite things to do is to see these microscopic images of the creatures that live in our eyebrows
Yes.
every day.
Did you see that?
And eyelashes too.
I don't have
What about the hot dogs? I don't think so.
Don't.
it. It was on Facebook. They looked at a hot dog under a microscope.
Oh no.
Holy cow.
Oh no.
I wanted to shoot myself. And it's been like 3 years since
So
I
let's
got
try. I
out.
used to make hot
I
dogs.
was like stuff.
You can make hot dogs. That's
I
true.
used to make them.
See, I don't.
Oh really?
There were
No.
Jordan meats, yes. And it's not as bad as you think. Don't let them fool you that hot dogs are horrible.
Well, I can't imagine that much worse, right, than anything else.
What
Because
about
if you
Hebrew
zoom in-
National?
Well,
Well-
that probably wasn't a Hebrew. It was
So, bar S.
It is real meat because you bring in real bins and it's actual real meat. And you
Which ones?
grind it down for hot dogs.
Like-
Like 1,000 pounds.
Oh yeah. So some brands of hot dogs use better cuts of meat. Other brands of hot dogs would just throw pretty much.
The whole pig in.
They don't have chicken, whatever the bills are.
No, I
They
don't
have
think
any of that
so.
stuff in
No,
it. Just so
no.
people know, they think it does.
Stephanie
But the
posted
casings are
something the
cheap.
other day
The
about
casings are cheap and tested.
how like chocolate bars are allowed like X amount of
Bug parts.
bug parts.
Everything-
And I'd seen it before, but it was just like, oh wow.
Everything has so much.
Cereal
Yeah.
too.
Cereal, yeah.
Everything is allowed so much before they say.
Which it just makes me so much happier that we can just go and collect the eggs from our chickens. I prefer Stella's eggs for no particular reason. It's just her eggs look different than everybody else's. I'm like, that's hers, and I feel special. And but I've always liked Stella. Stella was my bird. Stella was my boo. And so eating her eggs, well, it's kind of weird, I guess.
Take care.
I'm gonna abort that train of thought real quick. All right.
So what did that make Amber? Your wife?
What's that?
Mm.
Amber? She is my
Boo boo?
matrimonial cohabitant partner. My boo boo.
She's your special hand.
Stella's the boo.
No, no. Oh,
Really wants
man.
to have this conversation.
The birthing parent. Ooh, boy.
Bertha.
I tell you what, guys, we are in a weird place in the world. And it's not just the West. It's creeping in everywhere because the West has such a strong gravitational pull on the rest of the world more than ever. We are in a really weird place. We just confirmed, and I know I've said this 30 million times, it's totally okay. We just confirmed a Supreme Court justice who doesn't know what a woman is, and she was chosen because she was a woman. And people say, stop making such a big deal of it, Britt. I can't. It is a big deal. It's a very big deal. And we need people to make a big deal of stuff like this and stop pretending like it's not. Kim?
I heard the other day, I was listening to a radio program,
She had to be black though.
and they were gonna talk about
had to go
a
there.
news
Which may not
story.
be.
And they said, now, we're warning you, this has an
What is
ethnic
that?
slur in it.
Oh, no
So-
kidding.
We've changed the name of an insect. It's now called the spongy caterpillar that turns into a moth. It turns out originally it's gypsy. And
The
they were
gypsy
using,
moth.
it's the G word.
Mm.
Oh, boy.
What will they make offensive next? I'm curious. You know what we need in our world today? The book of Proverbs. Proverbs 6, I've divided it into 7 natural topical divisions. As we make our way through, on the second page, the blue and black paragraphs, there is a transition there, but I decided just to kind of keep it simple and include that transition with the above paragraph. You'll understand as we go through. There is so much here, so let's, without any more ado, jump right in. My son, if thou be surety for thy friend, if thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger, in other words, if you've co-signed on something with somebody, right? You're snared with the words of thy mouth. You're taken with the words of thy mouth. Do this now, my son, and deliver thyself when thou art come into the hand of thy friend. Go, humble thyself, and make sure thy friend. Give not sleep to thine eyes, nor slumber to thine eyelids. Deliver thyself as a roe from the hand of the hunter, and as a bird from the hand of the fowler.
Go to the end, thou sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise. You shall be no guide, overseer, or ruler. Provide us her meat in the summer, and get us her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hand to sleep. So shall thy poverty come, as one troubleth, and thy want as an armed man.
A naughty person, a wicked man, walketh with a froward mouth. He winketh with his eyes, he speaketh with his speech. He teacheth with his fingers. Frowardness is in his heart. He deviseth mischief continually. He soweth discord. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly shall he be broken without remedy.
These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, and heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren.
My son, keep thy father's commandment, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Bind them continually upon thine heart, and tie them about thy neck. When thou goest, it shall lead thee. When thou sleepest, it shall keep thee. And when thou wakest, it shall talk with thee. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life, to keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman.
Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. For by means of a whorish woman a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. Can a man take fire in his bosom, and his clothes not be burned? Can one go upon hot coals, and his feet not be burned? Some traditions. Sorry. So he that goeth into his neighbor's wife, whosoever toucheth her, shall not be innocent.
Men, do not despise a thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. But if he be found, he shall restore 7-fold. He shall give all the substance of his house. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. For jealousy is the rage of a man. Therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom. Neither will he rest content, though thou givest many gifts.
So I should have done research on this. I didn't. I don't know if Proverbs 6 stands alone in the collection of Proverbs. If it does, I think I just accidentally stumbled on something to consider. These different paragraphs are natural divisions in the flow of thought in the text. Look at how he says, deliver thyself with a roe from the hand of the hunter. Before that, he says, don't give sleep to your eyes or slumber to thine eyelids. What's the next paragraph start with? Somebody who sleeps too much, a sluggard, right? And then that ends with your want, your desperation will come as an armed man. The next paragraph, he talks about a naughty person or a wicked man. And then it's a oh goodness, I forgot the word. It's not Kiliasm. It's a
List.
it's a where you have it's a structure of writing where you have 3 paragraphs, 1 topic sentence, and then 3 after it. I forgot the word. It's a didactic structure, but didactic isn't the word. Didactic simply means teaching. Anyways, forgive me, I'll have to look it up. Again, I didn't prepare for this, but think about it. So then he goes, my son, keep your father's commandment. Then at the end of that thought, he said, this is going to keep you from the evil woman. The next paragraph is about the evil woman. And then he says, for by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread. And then the next paragraph, he's talking about men do not despise the thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he's hungry. And so there's almost like this transition of thought where this guy is writing these proverbs, and you can kind of see where his mind is going, but it all hinges on that topic paragraph, which in English, you put your topic sentence at the beginning, and you put a summary at the end. You do not do that in Hebrew. In Hebrew, you put it in the middle. It's really, really interesting how that works. And so you have these 6 things that the Lord hate: proud look, lying tongue, hand that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that be swift and running to mischief, and a false witness that speaks lies. He discusses all of those in the surrounding paragraphs, right? All of those are covered, at least that kind of person. And so this is basically the author of Solomon, presumably, or whoever's compiling these proverbs, is helping us see that in this middle paragraph, I put it as a gold paragraph, interestingly. There's 3 paragraphs on each side that are expounding on that one central thought. And what does the Bible say? All of these things that's being talked about, God hates. God hates. So let's take it paragraph by paragraph, and let's find out, like, what does God hate? What violates the heart of a good God in these paragraphs? What violates the good world? What unleashes hell on earth? You say, what do you mean hell on earth? Humans create hell. Hell, did God invent hell? God didn't invent hell. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, not heaven and earth and hell. Hell is something that humans bring about. You have heaven on earth, you have hell on earth. And you say, but it's prepared for the devil and his angels. I don't think Jesus is talking about the hellish behavior that humans give birth to. In other words, I heard this actually recently preached. We're going to just hang on there with me. We all would agree that sexual exploitation of children for money and pleasure is wrong, right? Of course we would. It's a monstrosity. It's the most wicked thing. And we come up with a cute term called sex trafficking to make us more immune to what we're really talking about. God hates that even more than you do. And when people engage in that and perpetuate that, they're lighting the fires of hell on earth. They're giving God something to purge from this world. They're preventing this world from being Eden, a place where heaven and earth intersect. Does that make sense? So when we read this proverb, we're reading about things that God hates. That God hates. In other words, things that are starting fires on earth, so to speak, rather than the streams of living water from the throne of God. So if we can use that imagery, let's be smoke detectors as we read through this text and see if we can spot the things that God hates. And better yet, see if we can apply this wisdom to our lives and say, I'm tiptoeing on the edge of that, or that's involved in the trajectory of my life. That's why this was written, to get us to purge these things from our life trajectory. So any thoughts on that first paragraph? Why is it such a big deal to not co-sign with somebody, right? Is that what this is about, or is it more or less? What do you think?
Don't
Susan?
just stand up for your friend. Realize that you are indebting yourself to whatever he doesn't pay.
Yeah. Kim?
Your friend needs to be responsible for himself.
Yes. That's a good point too. And make sure your friend,
What did you say?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't want to fight about
No,
who goes next?
she scares me.
Thank you.
She's like,
You don't scare me.
I just wanted you to repeat what Kim said.
No, it's good. I agree.
Right? So I'm like,
I guess I read it, be careful who you associate with, because you're gonna be snared into whatever happens
Yeah.
with them. That's how I read it, like, be careful who you want to walk in with, because that's how you're gonna be remembered too.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the Bible says in Proverbs, the borrower servant to the lender.
Mm-hmm.
And so literally you're putting yourself into slavery at the hand of your friend's character.
Yeah.
So you're literally putting yourself into bondage, hoping that your friend's going to have enough character to keep you out of prison, out of debtor's prison.
I don't think that matters just debtor. I think it's me, it sounds like it. I think apply that to anything in life.
Hmm.
He's
Mm-hmm.
a bad
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, right? Could this apply to other areas? Absolutely. Evil communication corrupts good manners, and our company is often shaping us and molding us. So in that way, we are debtors to them in a sense. Well,
I thought a key word here is that he's made a deal with a stranger, someone
Yeah.
who's not of the family, who's
Right.
not of the nation. He's made a deal with an outsider, and now you're backing him, so now you become servant to an outsider. You're giving your own freedom away if you take his place.
I think that edges pretty close to this moral principle that I want to touch on. Susan?
The last half of the paragraph talks about go to your friend and nudge him or urge him or her to make sure that they keep their word.
That's right. That's right. Make sure your friend doesn't mean make sure you're still friends, but make sure you have his word. Right? Our God is a God of freedom, not bondage. Our God is a God of liberty, not debt. The character, the heart of God has always been freedom. It's one of the biggest reasons I'm not a Calvinist. Is love is freedom. Love equals freedom. Even hell is loving because God is giving you freedom to choose your eternal destination with or without God. When the rich man was suffering in torments in Jesus' story, even in torments, he wanted Lazarus to come serve him. You think about that? Send Lazarus, he can dip his finger in. Who do you think you are, man? You're burning. And you still, there's no change of heart. They got what they wanted, eternal separation from God. Bondage is not God's heart. Freedom and liberty and free will and choice is God's heart. I don't want to, I keep wanting to tiptoe into this predestination thing, and there's a lot to be said about that. But when God sees two people in a deal, he recognizes that. And here, I'll put it this way, and then we'll move to the next one. I co-signed a loan for somebody a while ago, years ago. They've done great. I assume they will continue to do great. But I will say there have been a few, I won't say lost nights of sleep, but lost moments of peace thinking, my credit's on the line. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't a credit score that was on the line here. You could be sold into slavery, right? Indentured servitude. Then you would have what? No freedom. And God says, I value freedom more than whatever it is that you just brokered a deal for. You don't put your freedom on the line for anything. And I know that that could be taken to all kinds of, especially in these days, right? That could be taken to a lot of opportunities for application. But the author is saying this is more important than sleep. Get yourself out of that trap. He says it's a trap. A roe in the hand of a hunter and a bird in the hand of the fowler. It's interesting. I saw both of these things happen today. At the same time, I watched a very short clip of a man hunting a deer with an eagle. He really did. Sent the eagle after the deer. Good sized deer, big doe, prancing away, as it were, bounding away. And the eagle came and snatched the hindquarters of this deer, and the deer got very distracted trying to shake the eagle off, but the eagle wasn't going anywhere, and it gave time for the hunter to simply rush up and grab the deer in the chokehold and was able to provide food for his family. He if you say, what in the world? It was fantastic. I feel bad for the deer. But then again, I don't feel bad for the eagle or the hunter, right? You know, it's a circle of life, I suppose. But it was really interesting. And so when God sees two people in a deal, especially one that potentially will go bad, which is every single deal, right? Doesn't it have the potential to go bad? Sure it does. He says you're in a trap. You need to be very, very sure about what you're doing because God values freedom. That's the character of God here. I don't want to say it corresponds directly with the first of 6 things or 7 things that God says, but a proud look. I wonder if pride is involved in that. I don't know. Oh, he'll never. You don't know that. Don't assume you know more than you do. Kim?
It says humble yourself.
Yes. Oh, yes, Kim. Yes. I'm so glad you said that. Do this now, my son, and deliver thyself. When you come into the hand of your friend, go humble yourself. Make sure thy friend. It does correspond. How cool is that? Humility. Oh, I got goosebumps. This is crazy good. This is crazy good. Humility is the way out of bondage and is the way to freedom. Arrogance is the way in bondage. You want to stay in bondage? then by all means be too proud to go make sure. Oh man, that's really good. All right, second.
I think, you know, I think I heard years and years ago, a preacher say, that could mean go and pay the debt off,
Yeah, yes,
so you're not,
yes.
so it's a done deal.
I've heard that myself. I wonder if I should contemplate on that more sincerely. I have heard that. Go pay off your friend. Don't give sleep to your eyes, slumber to your eyelids. Go deliver yourself. Well, how else are you going to deliver yourself except to pay off the debt? I have heard that, and I didn't consider that in this, but I think you may very well be right, Kim.
So I should bring my
Pastor
bill for my
Chamberlain.
car in.
Yeah, yeah. No, that would make a lot of sense.
Should I bring my car note in? You can pay it off.
Well, see, that's the key, right? Because my next thought is, well, what if you can't pay it off? The reason you went into debt over this thing, you can't just pay it off. Well, one might say, well, if you got a $9,000 dress from Macy's, take it back to Macy's. It's that expensive. It's that worth your freedom.
Maybe
Interesting.
debt was a little different back then.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, to be sure.
Supposed to have enough to pay off all the student loan debt. There you go.
Right. All you got to do is print more money, Toby. Don't you know?
That's what I'm
Anyway,
saying.
What's $1 trillion?
what's a trillion? Yeah. I think national debt, student loans alone, I think, were 1.4 trillion. In my last, I think it was. I
Oh,
think.
they're all gonna be forgiven anyway.
Of course, of course.
And mortgages and car payments.
So, speaking of diligence, right? Second paragraph, go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise. The ant doesn't have a guide or overseer or ruler. She provides her meat in the summer, gathers her food in the harvest. I did a character reference for somebody who's applying for a job down south as a teacher today. He called me and he said, would you say that she has good initiative? I said, yes, I would. But why are they asking that question? Because managers of people, it is a drain on their estate in every way, mental, physical, monetary, to have to micromanage everybody. There are people under my, not my employee, but my sub-employee, right? I wear the ring of Pharaoh. I'm just Joseph, okay? I get it at work. But there are people who I have the pleasure of being able to work with and oversee to some degree, who I know I can count on to get their stuff done. And there's others who I have to say, did you get your hours in? Did you work 8 hours that day? Oh, it's only 6. Oh, okay. Glad we caught that, you know?
This always makes me think of A Bug's Life.
Yeah,
movie.
I know. I think of A Bug's Life every single time I read this. It changed me. It changed me. Beautiful butterfly. Anyway, so he asked this rhetorical question: how long are you going to sleep? When are you going to wake up? And then he mocks the sluggard. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. And that convicted me when I was a teenager because I always used to fold my hands to sleep. It's just something I did. And then he says, okay, but your poverty is going to come as one that traveleth, and thy want as an armed man. Poverty and want, these are synonyms in this text. He's using a parallelism. And one that traveleth and an armed man. So these are bad people, right? And he says you're going to be driven to a situation where you're going to do previously unthinkable things because you're broke. He said, I would never do that. You've never been that broke. Never been that broke. I would not poach a deer, but if I was starving and my family were starving, you better believe I would poach. Absolutely. That'd be the first thing I'd do.
You have to eat your chickens first.
I would have to eat the chickens first. Or I'd have to like ground up food because I want to eat their eggs. Who knows, right? Any
Eat
thoughts
the
on
dog.
that? Yeah, right. Any thoughts on that second paragraph about the sluggard and the ant who has no guide? You say there's a queen, and that's not the kind of monarchy. The queen is just a queen of the nursery, right? But not a president. No. The ants don't need a guide. We can move right on to the third paragraph if you guys like. That's pretty self-explanatory. Going once, going twice. All right, third paragraph. This one's also pretty straightforward. A naughty person, a wicked man, walks with a froward mouth. This means crooked. Perverse, right, perverse. He winketh with his eyes. He speaketh with his feet. He teacheth with his fingers. In other words, he's a snake oil salesman that you see.
Body language.
Exactly right. Very persuasive. What's that?
How do you
Or
speak
Mike?
with your feet?
Yeah, right. So in my mind, this has to do with grandeur and peacockery, right? When you it's like the salesman who slaps the roof of the car and says, this baby can get 30 miles to the gallon. Well, it gets 12. Right? Well, it can get 30 miles to the gallon. You know what I mean?
Or where you go, too.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Where your feet take you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I love how it says he teaches with his fingers. To me, that just kind of gives me this mental image of somebody who's very eloquent, very didactic. I use that word again, right? He is in the pedagogy of men, he is esteemed, right? He's the big one. He's the one everybody listens to. But the Bible calls him naughty. And today we that word naughty means nothing. It's silly, right? But naughty is not good. In fact, what's the root for naughty, if you don't mind my asking, just because I don't have it open? Belial, are you kidding me? Wow. I would have never guessed it was Belial. So the Hebrew word Belial or Belial, right, has to do with being worthless. The word Belial is the nicest way you can possibly say a complete waste of carbon, oxygen, blood, and everything. Complete waste. And you say, that is horrible. I didn't say it. You know, like
Like what?
Nothing, dear.
like right? Right? Like children of Belial, you see that? It just means worthless,
Right.
fit for nothing but destruction. And you say, did God make them this way? No. They chose this way. They didn't heed the Proverbs, so they didn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
So wasteful people, they teach with their finger. But the Bible says that despite all the outward appearance, they're perverse inside. And he's always thinking of mischief. He's sowing discord. Hey, did you hear so-and-so? Hey, did you hear so-and-so? Sowing discord. That's one of the reasons you kick people out of church, by the way. I would sooner kick somebody out of church, any church, this church, that church, whatever church, with a fox in a box, Courtney Cox, I don't know what the thing is, but I would rather kick a person out of any church for sowing seed of discord more than any other sin. I mean it, more than any other sin. Moral failures, at least most people will own up and say, I shouldn't be doing this. I can't seem to win. You know what I'm saying? I get that, right? I don't think those are the biggest problems that a church has. The biggest problem the church has is when somebody's going around planting seeds of discord, because seeds turn into trees that bear fruit.
I was gonna say here, he's creating the mischief ideas, he's coming up with the ideas, he's putting you in the spot doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
And what happens to seeds? They grow into plants that bear their own seeds. They repeat false information, you see. And they bear that hate. And come on, it's hate. You don't sow seeds of discord for people you love. You do it to people you're trying to get back at, or because you're a busybody and you're bored and you're coming up with rumors, repeating rumors. It's awful. There has only ever been very, let's just put it this way. I can count on one hand or less the number of folks I've asked to find a different church home. And in any case, it was folks who were sowing seeds of discord among the brethren. I've never even had to consider church discipline for anything else, because we're all messed up. We're all sinners. We're all in a messy, broken way trying to move toward Jesus and love each other. But if somebody's sowing seeds of discord, that's hatred. It's vile. And it has absolutely no place in the life of the believer, Ralph.
I think the last sentence kind of also is why some of these folks that are very famous, I'm thinking we talked before about the negative, it looks so glamorous.
Yep, that's
and then
exactly
all
right,
of a sudden,
Ralph.
when it unravels,
Yep.
their whole stinking life comes out, and
Yep.
they shall be broken,
That's right.
because they've had everybody else doing their work for them, and then it's finally
right.
visible.
That's right. You know, and if we had a more honest society, Joel Osteen wouldn't really be a celebrity anymore. When the floods happened in Houston, he closed the doors. And I'm not saying I understand the situation. I'm not. But if I understand it as simply as I seem to, and again, everything's got more than one story. I really want to be fair. I wouldn't want somebody to repeat bad information about our church, okay? But if the situation is as it seems, then he closed the doors to Lakewood Church in Houston during the floods, and he didn't let people in. In a just society, he would immediately be written off. People say, you're not qualified. He should have been broken. Calamity should have come suddenly. But instead, we live in a society that forgives the wicked and cancels the good.
He
Wicked.
has such nice teeth.
He does have nice teeth. I'm going to hide mine at the rest of the time. He does have the hair. Why? He has everything I don't. And money. All right, so I'm going to skip the hinge paragraph. Oh, Susan?
I was just gonna say the last sentence of the previous paragraph leads into that whole paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
because it talks about so shall poverty come as one that traveleth in thy want, as an iron man.
That's right.
If you,
Yep.
not burning your.
That's right. That's right, Susan. And then look at the last paragraph of the last line of the green paragraph. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly he shall be broken without remedy. These are bad endings. Paragraph 1, you're going to be hunted. You're going to be shot through the heart with a dart. Paragraph 2, you're going to be doing the previously unthinkable because you're broke. Number 3, you're going to be broken without remedy, right? So let's move on to, and again, we're going to skip the hinge paragraph. That's the summary. So we're going to save it for the summary. Now he moves to more, I don't know why I'm saying didactic so much, but it works. A more didactic section of the proverb. He's now moving to teaching, and then he's going to shift that right back into warning. He says, son, keep my commandment, forsake not mom's law, bind them on your heart, tie them on your neck. When you go out, it's saying when you go out and come in, as you go through life is what it's saying. It's going to lead you. When you sleep, it's going to guard you. That's what keep means. When you wake up, it's going to talk with you. It's going to inform you of wisdom. The commandment's a lamp. The law is light. Reproofs of instruction. Reproof is not fun. Reproof is painful, and if you've got any degree of a natural and normal amount of pride, reproofs might make you bristle up. I don't reprove people as much as I should because I'm terrified of how people will react. And that's, it obviously shouldn't be that way, right? Because to the pure person, a reproof is life. So when you don't reprove somebody, what is the opposite of that, right? Death. And then he says, it's going to keep you from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. I've said this last week. I think I said it the week before. Why are they always talking about women? Because sex is a problem. No, sex is not a problem. The idolization of sex is a problem. The extremism of sex is a problem. Using people, sexually exploiting another person for your own entertainment or sexual fulfillment is a problem. And every time someone engages in harmless flirting, pornography, to cheating, or
Take you with her eyelids.
that's right, that's exactly right, or to even rape and sex trafficking, as we mentioned, that's all. People say, what's the cure? Not more legislation, because bad guys don't follow the laws anyways.
Right.
You can say it's bad. The gospel is what transforms, and the law of God, the character and the heart of God is what transforms. And that's what's going to keep you from sexual impurity. I was talking with somebody this week, and he said, I remember agreeing with him. I remember exactly where we were. We're on the way up to, I was talking with Matt. And he said, all this pedophilia and all this Jeffrey Epstein nasty sewage that's coming out in the news, you didn't just start thinking that way one day. It is part of an inevitable progression of sexual depravity, where you start somewhere that's considered normal and allowable in our society, and you transgress into what's presently considered abhorrent in our society. But how much longer before that metric, right? MAPs, you have LGBTQIA, and now you have MAPs, minor attracted persons. We're coming up with neat classifications to give
What,
to
NAMBLA?
pedophiles. NAMBLA, National Association Man Boy Love, National, you get it. Yeah, here it is. Yep. So what stops this? The light of God chases away the darkness. Susan?
Just that the seductress in the middle of the paragraph will seek out innocent people
Yes.
to
Yes.
draw into that light.
That's right. I have found, even pastoring, that I don't have to meddle. I don't got to talk about what DVDs y'all should and shouldn't watch. Number one, because I've probably already seen it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to make a light of it, but I'm just saying, like, I don't have to meddle because the Holy Spirit of God is the light that purges the darkness. And like a needle, zing, and you go, oh, I didn't like that. But then you have a choice. You can either sear that over and fix that hole, or you can say, search me, oh God, right? It's a choice. It's a choice. 2 more paragraphs. Will you cover the conclusion, that last paragraph?
Sure.
I mean, it's the middle paragraph, but in our American, it's the last one.
Sure.
Oh, shit. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
You're really weird.
Mr. Rogers is
Yep.
bad.
Yep. All right, so there's two more. Lust not after her beauty in your heart. Don't let her take you with her eyelids. Notice how he says, don't allow her to take you with her eyelids. You can't do away with the eyelids. There's always going to be eyelids. You know what I mean by that? There's always going to be women. And you say, well, we wouldn't want it to be any other way. Correct, because women are not the problem. Lust is the problem. Now, is there a shared societal responsibility where women should recognize that men are pigs, right? And say, I have a shared societal responsibility to dress in a certain way to help protect my fellow man? Sure. I don't see anything wrong with a shared societal obligation in any way. One of the reasons I don't speed is not just because I don't want to get a ticket. I don't want to hurt somebody by accident. I feel like it's my obligation to help people. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. That's, by the way, that's the highest virtue, I think. Instead of thinking about what bad could happen to me or what I should be allowed to do, is how can I help others? Honor God, help people. That's what it's all about. Anyways, for by means of a whorish woman, a prostitute, a sex worker. Maybe not even a sex worker, right? Maybe just a woman who is whorish. You say, that's a terrible word. I didn't write it. I'm just reading it. The Bible doesn't pull punches. A woman who is want to commit adultery, fornication. A man is brought to a piece of bread. I wonder if it means he's brought to poverty.
He has to be contributing something to her.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Okay. He brought to poverty because he has paid for her whoredoms, it would seem. Right. And we'll learn a little bit more about that. We're going to try to cover two Proverbs at once next week because it's a tale of two women. They go together. And so the Proverbs 7 woman is the one being described here. It was the worst of times. Or to reference your hot dog, it was bratwurst of times. Remember the hot dog? Anyway. All right, this is one of my favorite phrases in Scripture because I apply it to way more things than the proverb writer ever meant for it to be applied to. Can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned? That's a good principle. You say, "Oh, I'm not touching it." You can only get so close before you're going to get burned. You keep thinking that you're above this, but you're not. I'm telling you, it's a great principle. For me, eating, right? Or I'll work this off. Yeah, right. Right? You think that you're so much better than you are. We are our own best PR agent.
Like a dog with a porcupine.
It's exactly
You don't have to
right.
touch it, but it'll get you.
That's right. Milo and Otis. Yep. Can somebody go on hot coals and his feet not be burned? I can do it. No, you're not going to be the first one. But if I go real fast, okay. And you're right. There's some people who can, they mastered the art of fire walking. But I think what the proverb writer has in mind here is, can you stand in the middle of a campfire and not get, you know what I'm saying? Like we think that it's not going to. So he's saying these things are inevitable. So he said, if you go into your neighbor's wife, you touch her. Remember what he's talking about? Touching fire, touching coals, touch this man's wife. Well, you're not going to be innocent. There is no way you can escape the guilt of what you've done. And then, right, exactly right. That leads into the last phrase here, and we're just toward the very end of this last paragraph. The jealousy is the rage of a man. He won't spare in the day of vengeance. He won't regard any ransom. Neither will he rest content, though thou givest many gifts. I'll give you anything. There is nothing you can do to absolve yourself of the guilt of touching someone else's wife. This is practical instruction. Now, what it should do is cause us to reflect on just how messed up our world is today, where we have television programs that encourage fornication with multiple people in order to select a mate that you'll divorce within 30 to 45 days, if statistic. You know what I'm saying? And we relish in these things as a society. We turn them on and we hope to, Love Island, I think it's called, or Naked and Afraid. I haven't seen these programs, but I've seen them advertised, and they say, we're glorifying this.
Swinger lifestyle.
Yeah, the swinger lifestyle.
They call it the lifestyle.
Exactly right. But here's the topic of this last one, the topic sentence. If you commit adultery with a woman, you're not smart. literally says you lack understanding. You're not smart. Not only are you, and again, look at what is happening here. He's not even, this is the most pragmatic chapter so far in Proverbs. He's saying the law of God is going to keep you, it's going to protect you from the inevitable consequences of a life poorly lived. He said, I don't believe in God. Well, congratulations. You know, we celebrate you on April 1st, okay? But even if you didn't believe in God, if you live by his law, your life will be better. Come on, imagine if the entire world, unbelieving world, were to abide by the law of a holy and helpful God. You wouldn't turn on the TV and see smut. You wouldn't click on the internet and see Pornhub. You understand what I'm saying? You wouldn't need a password for your Netflix account. I complain about that every time I have to sign in on a new device, don't I, Amber? Well, if we lived in a perfect world, you wouldn't need this password. Why? Because nobody would try taking your password or breaking into your account. You wouldn't need a bank account number. You'd walk in and say, I'm Michael Britt. I have $60 in my account. May I have 40? Here you go. Trust, honesty. You know what I'm saying? It's great. All the things that you would need or wouldn't need in God's economy, you don't need this stuff. Gene Roddenberry envisioned it in Star Trek. It's funny because Star Trek, the original series, and Star Trek, The Next Generation, and Star Trek Voyager all had this utopian future where you didn't need money. Well, it didn't take too long before Star Trek Deep Space Nine came out. And all of a sudden, they were using gold-pressed latinum as currency. Why? Because they realized that if you really want, like, conflict, money's involved. Greed is involved. Lust is involved, right? You can't live in utopia and have a compelling TV show with drama and violence, because if you live in God's perfect world, you don't have. So what is this saying? We're not in heaven yet. We're clearly in a hellish world. So what's the point? Obey the law of God and it'll provide light in that darkness. You may never be able to chase away all the darkness, but you can protect yourself from it by being wise.
So you're saying we're more in a Star Wars world rather than a Star
Don't
Trek
even
world.
do this. Taking my phone. Love you guys.